The definition of torment is to experience severe mental or physical suffering. This is typically a staple in any horror genre, a test for the victims caught in the middle of some madman's vision. And like all tests of life, we are tormented by the chaos created by our surroundings. That's exactly what happens to the poor soul in this game when a mysterious picture sent to her sends her to a strangely familiar place that quickly becomes a nightmare. I'm the great and terrible Sett. And I'm Beast Lord J. Today we are going over the madness that is tormented souls. As a longtime fan of the horror genre, I love to see the takes of new developers showing their love in it in their own unique way, especially when we all have been inspired by some of the best growing up. That seems to be the case for Dual Effect, the company that brought this game to life. Now, this is their first game, and other than being able to tell you that they seem to be stationed in Chile, and they first came about in 2020, that's pretty much it. Everything I just told you can find on their Twitter page, where they seem to have been very active with their community. What we do know is that they are fans of old school horror, and anyone who enjoys them can tell right away where their influence has come from. We're here to talk about the game they created. And I'm the lucky god that gets to review it. The story is mysterious, very messed up, and pretty convoluted in some parts. But first we gotta start off with our star, Caroline Walker, who unfortunately gets a very mysterious letter containing the photo of two twin girls.
Good way to start us off before we can see exactly how we're going to be doing this. And yeah, that's not good. Damaged photograph of two girls who appear to be twins.
She gets a terrible migraine and decides to go snooping at the Wild Burger Hospital where it was sent. Unfortunately, this is her first time doing the Scooby-Doo routine and almost immediately gets knocked over the head, marking the beginning of the very heartwarming adventure into self-discovery by getting a badass eye patch. Yeah, sorry. What he means is a horrifying experience. And the reason she has that eye patch is because someone took it out and left her in a pool of clearly unsanitary water.
Anime powers unlocked? I would, honestly, because you don't know if it's gone, I'd be scared to take it off too, especially if there's no pain. I'd be terrified. Yup. That sucks. That really sucks for her. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
From there, she quickly discovers that she's trapped in a mansion made into a hospital by some asshole with a fetish for making doors hard to get into, I guess. Just like Capcom always intended. To be fair, they needed it. Illegal experiments on patients. And when you think that's bad enough, it turns out there's a cult running the entire place. You know, making the classic promises to a lesser god for power, bringing the dead back to life, ghosts, and a variety of Frankenstein creatures all connected to this crazy underground temple dedicated to this creative god that they are trying to revive. And apparently very real with the results. You discover this through a myriad of very important documents they just leave sitting out in the open for some reason. The family of 5, mother, father, a grandfather, and twins, Anna and Emma Wildberger. The parents struggle to have children, but then after several attempts, they gave birth to these twins. Then with the evil book the grandfather finds, he decides to dedicate the torment of these twins to a higher power. He had been doing crazy stuff for a while now, and when they picked up on it, they tried to get the girls away. But he managed to get his hands on one of the girls, and the other was adopted and turned out to be, our hero. That's right, our girl is actually one of the twins. We then find out that the land they built the mansion on used to belong to an indigenous people that believed that twins held a special power. Makes sense since all her life she believed she was having nightmares, but it turned out to be the events that her sister was going through the years in the mansion itself. Such as being left in a prison to die alone in the dark, or being a subject to a constant experiment, needing to survive alone for years till she turned into a ghost demon thing.
We beat it once. Uh-oh. Hey, it's that large naked lady, and she's kissing him a little too violently. Oh, she can float? Oh, shit.
This is actually where the story gets, stranger, believe it or not. You see, there's a dark realm that shares a connection with our world, both being nearly identical, but one leading towards, the obviously evil alignment. She also has the power to apparently travel through time through these old videotapes that's connected to the past and change those events. They never exactly explain how, but I'll bet my eye on the fact that it's just some evil, lesser god stuff. She uses this to change the girl's fate and to learn her true identity. Find all of the scary people in the underground temple, stop evil grandpapa, and puts an end to the evil god. Luckily, she got there just in time. She had her eye on the prize, now he's got me doing it, and freed her sister from a dark fate and escaped the wretched mansion. Not bad in a day's work. Story was a decent size, sweet, with many jaw drops. There were some parts that were hard to follow, but we'll jump into that later. Music was an incredible throwback to the generation that led to the hard rise of the games we enjoy of this current generation. You can certainly hear the influences they had with the mini tunes, respectful head nods with their own take of the atmosphere that creates horror. Pretty textbook for any horror game, and yet it did it very well. Other sources of sound played a pretty big step. Hearing the scraping of enemies moving and shifting was pretty good. Footstep sounds, maybe a little too loud. Interacting with objects, using items, shifting through your inventory, all great nostalgia bombs. That was done decently enough. Guns certainly had an impact behind them though, especially the shotgun.
Wow, that felt like a shotgun, right?
Damn, that thing is loud in a great way. Nips got a little hard. Agreed, I guess. The shotgun and combat sound effects did feel really nice, while still somehow feeling like they were part of an old school horror game. But overall, the quality, of course, much, much better. I love them as well. So if you ask me, she kinda looks like a Cody Vein character. Maybe it's all the red. I like her character design in both outfits, by the way. Really cool that they gave us alternate outfits. Leather gloves and an eye patch gives her just enough badass points in my book. As for the map, there are 3 major areas. The mansion, the Otherworld mansion, and the temple. Everything in the mansion was very cluttered and dirty. And I liked it. Yes, considering this was a refurbished mansion made into a hospital and a cult running it, this felt very fitting. All of the dankness with dark, semi-realistic environments made for a great setting. I agree. Tormented Souls hit the mark with what they were going for with these nostalgic areas of the 90s horror genre of gaming. Gameplay is very reminiscent of older games and their controls. If you like the older tank-style controls for your playthrough, they had that available. If not, they had modernized controls for you. We personally went with the modern style control because as much as I like those old games, the controls can stand the past. The game has a good variety of enemies. Unstable Professor X, Coat Hanger Guy, and my favorite, Hazmat Harold. Their attacks start pretty simple, but then later enemies have AoE attacks that are much harder to get around and kill. But not to worry, because you have a variety of weapons. A badass nail gun, shotgun, stun poker, and of course your trustworthy crowbar. You even have a dodge that was pretty nice to have. They have a few traps that you can even use to your advantage. These knights, and then you have these strange guys strapped to walls to bar your way.
Let's see if I can go 3 for 3.
Puzzles did a great job of that as well. a decent amount of them ranging from thinkers to why the hell am I torturing myself. I personally had to look up a guide for at least 3 of them. Also, examining items and objects in rooms was pretty cool. They made you really feel like you were using your hands, using logic to figure out how to uncover clues that would properly prepare you for other puzzles and clue finding in the future. The areas themselves looked great also. Felt like a mansion that was quickly turned into a makeshift hospital. Many of the rooms you could tell had been converted. The dust abandoned look added to the vibe. With the dim lighting and the need of a flashlight in almost every area among pure darkness, ooh. The game even has a few cutscenes that are pretty cool. The use of darkness and how it limited how you played was also well used, hoping there would be a candle somewhere to light your way so it could free your hands for combat and you can move forward. Never felt I would run out of ammo, decent amount of health items as well. Upgrades to certain items to make things easier was a great touch also. No difficulty settings, but I felt the game was also trying enough that it was not required, especially since the trophies involved are pretty challenging if you really want them. Okay, buddy, so now it's time for the bad stuff. I'd like to start with some of the ways they did storytelling, personally. The Dark World and the future videotape stuff, yeah. Unless we missed something in the documents, they never explained either phenomenon. The evil otherworld could easily be explained through the influence of the Dark God, lesser Dark God, but the VHS time travel stuff, not so much. Unless we did miss something, we wish that there was some explanation or indication as to why this was possible. Unless it's because of the bonds of the sisters shared plus Dark World stuff. I have no other way of explaining this. Not everything needs to be explained in a horror game or movie, but the fact that the character herself could go back and forth between these realms and then somehow remain unaware that it's even happening sometimes, it's a little disappointing.
I figure he displays some sort of happiness, right? Let's go. Oh, he has a plastic
Father,
arm?
are you okay?
Carolyn, my child, that thing has stolen my Bible.
Stay
That's
there,
what you care
Father.
about?
Right now, it's vital that you keep calm.
Yes, you're right. I don't know how I'll be able to thank you for taking care of my arm, my child.
How are you aware of that?
What are you talking about, Father? It wasn't me.
But I saw you. Oh, you are right. I'm getting confused.
Huh. Okay,
Now that
he
I
clearly
think
knows
about
more
it, it
about
was
this
Dr.
than
William who treated
he's
my
letting
arm.
on. And I'm still not sure if she's dumb yet.
Dr. William. The
It does flow well with the zero awareness character in other older horror games, but to be frank, I could do without it. Not a deal breaker, but I wish the traps had been a bit more creative. I love the stationary nights. Sometimes we forget they exist and get hit. But the hanging wall guys going into the Iron Maiden stuff was way too similar. But nice again, this isn't a big deal since the traps can catch you off guard when stressed. We suffered only 2 very, very minor bugs. One where the music suddenly just stopped in the area, that happened once, and the other was in this painting room where the screen discolored once we started trying to solve a puzzle, and it did not go away until after we left the room and came back in. Everything ran very smoothly throughout though. Loved the monsters, and I felt the only underwhelming one was the thick sister. Backstory, pretty sad and surprising, but I felt the chasing part was not great for one reason.
You piece of shit. Yeah, you're my tyrant. That's fine. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, the work around the entity was simple. Grateful she wasn't chasing me around everywhere, and yet I wish there was a better way to rid of her than...
Ah, she can just pop up wherever the fuck she wants. That's kind of cool. I see. So it's gonna kind of be at random. I hope in the next game, whatever they have chasing you can just go through the doors.
So there it is. And by the way, we finally... shut it. I'm the one who's gonna tell him. Okay. We finally have a scoring system. Yeah! I know. I'm amazing. Thank you. What about me? Your presence in the room when I'm having amazing ideas is always desired. No matter how we feel about a game, it's always an opinion, and we wanted to give an accurate reasoning into how we would score our reasoning among the other games over time, for it can easily be understood what we like. Throwing a random score based on our current vibe doesn't sit right, and wanted to give it a bit more of an explanation by separating things into categories and then rating each for a total. Characters, music, art direction, and the gameplay are typically the most important areas of a game to us, each worth a total of 2.5 biscuits. We even will throw in a few extra points for certain things and add more categories over time if necessary. We'll go into further detail in a separate video, that way we're all on the same page, because this right now is about Tormented Souls. Tormented Souls is an amazing game for those who enjoy older horror games. A disturbing story and smooth gameplay. The use of creatures and tools are all well done, and to those who love challenging puzzles, they have many thinkers. The ease of gameplay mixed with a short but sweet and dark story makes it pleasant, and the challenges for the game make up well for the lack of difficulty settings. Agreed. But despite the cool hero and a series of psychotic cult events she finds herself in, a few unexplained bits in the story doesn't bother us, but the lack of exciting traps, misused ghost nemesis, and the character's dumb awareness at times to things happening around her can't be overlooked. Even with the amazing interactions you need to do for information, great sounds and impacts of weapons, music doing its jobs, cool areas to explore, for a game following the simple formula of what's been done in the past, we felt some things were too simple. This game gets a 6 out of 10 for its great reimagining of older takes on horror games and bringing them to life. Now we know the devs have Tormented Souls 2 coming, and I can't wait to see how they applied what they learned for the development of the first. Congrats on a great game, Dual Effect, and until next time.